in the capital. Good afternoon. Welcome to the weekend edition of Weekend Central live here on TV3. The bulletin is also live on DSTV, channel 279, streaming across the world on Facebook at TV3 Ghana. My name is Godwin Asidiwa.
And I am Judith Brown, coming up in the bulletin this afternoon. Commissioner on the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice Shraj, Dr. Joseph Withal, calls for continued collaboration in the fight against corruption.
Also coming up, former Member of Parliament for Kumbungu, Ras Mubarak, urges government to scrap 22 embassies and redirect funds to critical sectors. We'll engage with him shortly.
And welcome back to the bulletin. We start from here. Former Member of Parliament for Kumbungu, Ras Mubarak, has written a letter to the President John Dramani Mahama calling for the closure or downgrading of 22 Ghanaian embassies and diplomatic missions abroad. In the letter dated June 7, 2025, Mubarak argued that the country's fragile economy can no longer support the high costs of maintaining embassies in countries where Ghana has minimal diplomatic or economic engagement. He acknowledged the government's efforts in reducing public expenditure, including the streamlining of ministries and trimming of ministerial appointments. However, he emphasized that more can be done, particularly within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to generate revenue and redirect savings into critical sectors such as health, education, infrastructure, and housing. Mubarak cited countries including Austria, Serbia, Kuwait, Namibia, and Trinidad and Tobago among those where embassies should be scrapped. He further proposed that staff from the affected nations be redeployed to embassies where Ghana's national interests are more significant. Well, Ras Mubarak is former Member of Parliament for Kumbungu and author of that open letter. He's joining us live with more details on this. Good afternoon, sir. Now, tell us really what forced you to focus on these particular foreign affairs in your open letter.
Good afternoon. Well, as you may be aware, our country is in dire straits. The economy is going through a lot of challenges through no fault of the current administration. And we also have a lot of challenges up and down the country. So it's important to redirect, resources where we could have optimal benefits. And if you look at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, everyone who is within the diplomatic space would tell you that diplomacy is very, very expensive. Now, we are paying millions of dollars in rental, in allowances, in vehicle maintenance for, staff of embassies abroad. Some of these embassies are, as far as I'm concerned, quite redundant, and I strongly feel that there's a greater need to scrap about 21 of them. Actually, with respect to Austria, so Austria is like Geneva or New York in terms of diplomatic, activity. So having spoken to some persons within within that space, I would retract on Austria, but for the rest of the 21 countries, they are exceedingly important that we claw back resources from those areas. I mean, you go to places up and down the country, people are sitting under trees to go to school. Clinics in rural Ghana are quite an eyesore. And I don't see the, benefits to the Ghanaian public, especially when these embassies are being funded by the taxpayer. For us to continue to spend this much, and it runs into millions of, of hundreds of millions of dollars, yearly, on some of these expenses. I don't see the benefits. The reason why our compatriots in Ghana, should continue to suffer, when we are paying this much money. I'll give you a couple of examples quickly. Take Norway, for instance. Norway is just a stone throw away from Denmark in the Scandinavian area. If you look at the trade volume, Denmark has way higher trade volumes, Denmark has higher trade volumes than Norway. And I don't see why the ambassador in Denmark should not oversee, activities in Norway and elsewhere. And the current Australian, High Commissioner to Ghana, for instance, oversees about 8 countries. Australia, wealthier than Ghana, more advanced than Ghana. They are picking up creative ways of, saving costs in terms of their activities abroad. I don't see why a struggling country like ours, should not cut back on our expenditure within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So this is the first of many suggestions that I want to focus on as far as, helping the, government run the country in a manner that affects our citizens positively. And to be honest with you, I would prefer this, to paying any tax increment, and I think there's so much waste in the system, and we just have to look at where these wastes are happening. I've also heard arguments to the effect that, look...
How do you respond to concerns that closing embassies may weaken Ghana's global diplomatic presence?
It would not. I mean, if the advanced countries are doing it, I don't see why, we cannot do it. I don't see why the ambassador in Saudi Arabia should not be given additional responsibility of overseeing Qatar or United Arab Emirates. You don't need boots on the ground, in these places to get things done. And in countries where you have a lot of Ghanaians, like say, Kuwait or the UAE, you can appoint, a consul general. Much cheaper, than having a full gamut of embassy activity in some of these countries, especially when our countrymen and women within Ghana are struggling to get by. And very recently, you showed us images of, young people who cross river to go to school. I mean, these things shouldn't be happening in the 21st century.
And are there any embassies that you believe should be strengthened rather than being scrapped?
Yeah, so I've given you Saudi Arabia as an example. I think Saudi Arabia can do a lot of the shuttling.
Right.
With Nigeria, for instance, I mean, Nigeria can oversee Sierra Leone, Liberia, Cameroon, and other places. We don't need an embassy in Niger, in Togo, in Benin, and all of these places. In any case, we should be focusing on regional integration. And if you're focusing on regional integration, it's strengthening your internal securities and using advanced technology like drones, to combat border crime, instead of keeping embassies and spending millions of dollars annually in maintaining staff. And the final point on this, and you can speak to Ministry of Foreign Affairs staff or retired, people within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Successive governments have struggled to pay for the accommodation of our staff in foreign embassies anyway. Right. And, every now and then you get foreign, embassy staff complaining that, landlords are harassing them. I mean, if we can't afford it, why must we, go on that route? When we could equally downgrade. I mean, take Germany, for instance. Germany can oversee the Czech Republic. I don't see the economic or political benefits in keeping an embassy in the Czech Republic.
Now, lastly, before you go, you talked about the scrapping of some 22 embassies. What other cost-saving or revenue-generating proposals should Ghanaians expect from you next?
I'm sorry, I didn't get a question.
I'm asking, what other cost-saving measures should Ghanaians expect from you next, apart from the scrapping of these 22 embassies?
Well, there are, stuff within the Ministry of Transport that I intend to write about in the coming days. If you look at the Ministry of Transport, they've got to be very innovative. I mean, traffic violation in the country is bizarre, is unbelievable. And I think that we could generate a lot of resources from there, if there's a bit of creativity. Right. And also the Ministry of Interior. There are things that we can do from within the Ministry of Interior, to generate resources, to work for Ghana.
Well, many thanks for your time. Ras Mubarak is a former member of parliament for Kumbungu. He has been speaking to us on an open letter on him calling for the scrapping of some 22 embassies. Godwin.
Commissioner of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Hajj, Dr. Joseph Watol, says in order to fight corruption, collaboration and cooperation would be key. He was speaking at a high-level conference on Ghana's architecture in Accra.
The National Anti-Corruption Action Plan contains the policy and institutional framework for fighting corruption built on the 3 two-pronged pillars of prevention, investigations, and prosecution. They are our architecture. Our experience as a country has shown over the years that no one institution can ever successfully win the fight against corruption. That no country alone can successfully fight corruption. Again, that country will fail. And that no one regional bloc can successfully fight corruption. It will be a 9-day wonder. There is therefore the need for mutual respect and cooperation domestically, regionally, and internationally at the heart of the anti-corruption fight.
To travel to Morocco, and this is something that has actually been well received by quite a number of people. This follows a new bilateral agreement signed between the two countries. Really, quite a lot of people have been reacting to that as well. Minister of Foreign Affairs Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa in a Facebook post said the policy, which takes immediate effect, will replace the previous visa system with no streamlined online authorization. The move will make travel between the two nations faster and easier. The new authorization can be obtained within 24 hours and eliminate the need for embassy appointments. Officials are anticipating that the visa waiver will significantly boost trade, tourism, and people-to-people connections between Ghana and Morocco. Meanwhile, Ghana has backed Morocco's autonomy plan for the disputed Western Sahara as the sole basis to settle dispute within the framework of the UN. Ghana's stance align with a growing number of Western African and Arab countries that back Rabat's options on the dispute.
Now, the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs has launched the Ghana Sustainable City Strategy aimed at transforming Ghana's rapidly growing urban areas into inclusive, resilient and prosperous cities. Sector Minister Ahmed Ibrahim underscored the urgent need for coordinated and sustainable urban development.
Ghana's urban population currently at 56.7% and projected to reach 60.7% by 2030. The Ghana Sustainable Cities Strategy is designed to address both the opportunities and challenges that come with urbanization. The Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, emphasized the importance of multi-level and multi-sector collaboration in achieving sustainable urban development. He noted that effective coordination among government agencies, private stakeholders and local communities is essential to address the complex challenges of urbanization. He also highlighted the need for a people-centered approach that integrates digital infrastructure to promote transparency, inclusivity and accountability.
If you check the 2010 population census or 2000 population census, those living in rural areas were more than those living in urban areas. The trend is changing. But if you look at the kind of work that we do in the rural areas and the kind of work that we do in urban areas, moving from rural to urban means a change in attitude, a change in occupation, a change in behavior, a change in everything. So if care is not taken, if we don't plan for the future, we may not get the future the way we want it. And that is why we have come together to be able to put up a framework how we want our urban centers to be planned.
Developed with technical and financial support from the World Bank, the Ghana Sustainable City Strategy offers a comprehensive data-driven blueprint for managing sustainable urban development. The GSCS will complement the country's revised national urban policy and aligns with global development frameworks such as the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the African Union's Agenda 2063. The launch also reinforced Ghana's commitment to international partnerships, particularly with the World Bank, whose support was instrumental in shaping the strategy. The GSCS strategy signals a bold step towards making Ghana's cities more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable. By leveraging innovation and stakeholder engagement, the Ghana Sustainable City Strategy aims to enhance the quality of urban life. This will be done by strengthening governance and ensuring that no one is left behind in the urban transformation.
Managing Director of the Volta Lake Transport, Ofori-Atta, has expressed concern over the poor condition of 6 vessels operating on the lake. Speaking to the media during an inspection tour of weed clearing efforts at Pun in the eastern region, the MD said the company has the potential to double its annual income if the malfunctioning vessels are repaired.
As part of the operation inspection tour, leadership of the Ghana Maritime Authority paid an official visit to the Volta Lake Transport Company to assess the company's operations and explore avenues for collaboration. During the visit, the Managing Director of VLTC, Ofori-Atta, raised concerns about the company's operational challenges. She explained that although the company owns 6 vessels, most are inoperable due to engine faults, drastically reducing their service delivery and revenue.
The most important thing that we can do together is to get the equipment that we need to use in carrying out our services. 1, barges, 2, vessels or pontoons, water buses. The barges are for cargo, both liquid and solid. We have problems with all our vessels. Weak engine, some of them cruising on only 1 engine instead of 2 generators instead of 1, and so we have a lot of problems. But then we are not complaining about the internal ones, the very old ones. We are working very hard to use our IGF to solve those problems.
Transportation along the Volta River has long been fraught with difficulties, including frequent accidents caused by submerged tree stumps and heavy siltation. These challenges have resulted in the loss of lives and property over the years. For his part, Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Kamaldeen Ali, emphasized the need for coordinated efforts to address the problem. The visits formed part of the Inland Water Assessment Mission and included a review of work done by skimmer vessels previously handed over the VRA to support the cleanup.
Now, Ghana is set to receive Mpox vaccines in the country to complement interventions in managing the disease outbreak. Director for Public Health of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Asedu-Bakwe, during a virtual media engagement, noted that the service is currently in talks with the WHO and the Africa CDC.
Currently, Ghana has recorded 45 cases of Mpox in 9 regions, with 2 on admission. 10 out of the cases are children, while the dominance of the disease remains the Greater Accra, Western North, and Western regions. Vaccination is one of the interventions in managing the Mpox outbreak. However, a country must first establish its at-risk groups and the trend of infection, which currently qualifies Ghana to receive some vaccines. According to the Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, there is evidence that the disease, which is normally transmitted from animal to human, is now being transmitted from human to human in the country, hence the need for vaccines.
I remember the last outbreak that we had. Though we had 120 cases, we struggled to clearly establish at-risk group. If you don't get a clear at-risk group, then your intervention may not be effective. So for this outbreak, we are as far as possible, we are investigating to be very established that this is the at-risk group, and then we engage them to make sure that it's done. So I'll say it's work in progress. We are engaging WHO and Africa CDC so that we get the vaccines. Somewhere last year, Ghana didn't have any established human-to-human transmission, so we did not qualify. Now that we are having human-to-human transmission, the idea is that we'll be able to identify the clear at-risk group who benefit from the vaccine.
Several African countries are administering Mpox vaccines in response to the ongoing outbreak. The 9 most affected countries receiving majority of the vaccine doses are the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Liberia, South Africa, Rwanda, Central African Republic, Cote d'Ivoire, Uganda, Nigeria, and Kenya.
Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Yusuf Suleimana, has bemoaned the near extinction of indigenous tree species such as shea and dawadawa in the northern part of the country. According to him, the two most important economic trees that provide livelihood for thousands of women have been destroyed by commercial charcoal burning, hence faces a serious threat of extinction. The minister made these observations when he engaged with the media during a tree planting exercise in Bole as part of a nationwide tree planting campaign under the Tree for Life program by government to plant 30 million trees across the country. Let's cross over now on Zoom and engage with my colleague Christopher Marco for further development on this. Chris, thank you so much for your time. How widespread is the activity of charcoal burning in the Savannah region, and how is it a threat to the shade trees and other economic trees as well?
Yes, so Godwin, the felling of the dawadawa tree and the shade tree have become a major concern to not only residents but also traditional authorities in the Savannah region. Now, over the time past, the traditional authorities even issued a ban on commercial charcoal burning and illegal logging. And this, over the period, has not been strictly adhered to in the Savannah region. But with the tree planting exercise that is supposed to, as it were, plant more trees and ensure that the environment is protected, the deputy minister during the tree planting exercise in Bole admonished the residents to plant more of the shade trees and the dawa trees so that they can save the extinction of the indigenous trees in the Savannah ecological zone. Now, one other aspect he's been talking about is the fact that these trees do not only serve as a protection to the environment, they also serve as economic opportunities for women in the region, and so the need for them to protect these trees. Let's take a listen to what he's been saying.
Our people, that once nature is allowing us to, as it were, destroy some of the plants, the same nature requires of us to also replenish it. And that is why we think that this exercise is very important. You would have realized that the particular plant, seedling that we have planted are the shade trees. They are the shade trees because they are the economic trees of this area. I grew up picking shea nuts from the bush, wild ones, preparing them by the guidance of my mother, selling them, and using part to pay my school fees. In some cases, the raw shea nuts, okay, you pick them, even transport them to southern sector to sell, fresh like that. And so I know the value of that plant. And that is why we are saying that let's encourage the planting of the shade tree. Let's encourage the planting of the dawadawa tree, because that is what we need. Beyond just giving us the oxygen, the protection of the environment and all of that, it also brings us some economic value.
Christopher, what measures beyond the tree planting exercise are being adopted to deal with the situation?
Yes, so he's also been talking about the fact that there is a need for the various assemblies to intensify their education and campaign on the need for residents to protect these trees. He's also been encouraging farmers to plant more of these trees, because these farmers, when they go to cultivate their crops, pull down most of these trees. And so the more they pull down, the more trees we lose. He's been admonishing them that when they go and farm at a particular land, the following year, if they don't need that land again, they have to plant more trees to save the land that they had cultivated over the period.
Right. Christopher Marco is our Northern Regional Correspondent.
That the Ghana Cocoa Board is to undertake a full-scale payroll audit in a bid to uncover inefficiencies and restore financial discipline across its operations. Chief Executive Officer Dr. Ransford Anete Abe noted that the payroll review forms part of a broader reform agenda that includes auditing stockpiled jute sacks and collaborating with the National Investigations Bureau.
Cocoa Board has on its payroll in excess of 10,000 people. Our staff cost is between $160 and $170 million every month. You understand? We're going to do a staff audit to ascertain whether we are all human beings or there are some people from another planet with us. You know, we need to establish that. But of course, if you have to spend about $12 million as your staff cost, that's quite, heavy, and we need to look at all those things. But there were decisions that were made that we need to look at. But a lot has to do with procurement, for example. Look at the things that I've told you about. Yeah. The jute sacks situation, for example. How on earth do you continue on a yearly basis, spend over $40 million on sacks that you don't need? The sacks come in, you're unable to clear them, or you willfully decide not to clear them, and yet you keep procuring to the extent that even when over a 3-year period you are not cleared 110,000 bills, you still go and sign a contract for 80,000 more bills, and in December of 2024 issue an irrevocable letter of credit for $48 million. I mean, what kind of thing is that? And I'm very mindful of the adjectives I use to describe some of these things.
You're still watching Weekend Central live from our studios here at the Sunday Kanda in Accra. We're going for a very first break. When we're back, we have more news for you. Just stay.
Goes absolutely emphatic.
Get ready for more on SuperSport, the only place to watch all the FIFA Club World Cup.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic.
Trapped in War gets to air on Wednesday. Do make some time to tune in. Welcome back to the program. We continue with more stories here. It's the kind of crisis you would expect in war zones, refugee camps, or drought-stricken villages. Ghana, Basin capital, although alive with restaurants, markets, and grocery aisles packed with food, have children going hungry and lacking certain basic nutrients. Really devastating. Safwa Buahin goes beneath the surface of what is gradually becoming a national crisis: malnutrition. There's more.
In a country blessed with fertile lands, vibrant markets, and rich culinary traditions, it is easy to assume every child is well fed. But the reality tells a different story. Across Ghana, from rural villages to urban centers, children are still going hungry, not always from lack of food, but from a lack of the right nutrients. The 2022 Ghana Demographic and Health Survey shows a rise in malnutrition, and poverty isn't the only reason. Many caregivers caught between work and survival simply don't have the means or time to nourish their children properly. Today, malnutrition is no longer just about food. It's about pressure, poor eating habits, and silent struggles unfolding in homes across the country.
For years, malnutrition, especially in cities, seemed to be a fading memory. But the 2022 Ghana Demographic and Health Survey brought a shocking reality to light. Cases of child malnutrition are on the rise once again. Fatuma, a caregiver to little Mohammed, is one of many struggling to understand why their children are looking abnormally thin and weak.
Something suddenly appeared on his skin, like measles, and he became extremely thin, like he was close to dying. There's been a big change since we got to the hospital.
Beatrice, who is a mother to an 11-month-old baby with malnutrition, thought it was a spiritual attack.
My family said someone cast an evil eye on my baby, causing a spiritual illness. My previous child had a similar illness and made me call his son.
Medical experts say malnutrition isn't just about food.
Some of the causes of this undernutrition are poverty, cultural beliefs or myths, and then other social determinants. The basic causes will happen when the family or the individual's own inability to feed properly or due to poverty. And then the intermediate ones, when the child is sick, the underlying factors, that one has to do more with our governments.
Salamatu was once a head porter in Accra, but when her 2-year-old daughter became severely malnourished, she gave up the business to sell beads. At her home, Salamatu shared the daily struggle of trying to feed her child, sometimes without essentials like milk or meat.
I gave my child porridge with milk and sometimes without milk due to finances. I can't afford meat when I give it to Yosafi.
Her daughter was diagnosed with severe malnutrition. She received help at the hospital, but even now affording a balanced meal remains a daily battle. Even in the capital, where food options are wide and varied, malnutrition cases persist. At the Princess Mary Louise Children's Hospital alone, 363 cases have been recorded this year, with 83 active cases.
You can see that even in the business districts that we are in, we see quite a number of children. So even along the coast where there's fish, you still can see children who are undernourished because the parents who sell the fish and may not give some to the children because they need money for other things. So sometimes the children are eating, it's not very nutritious, and then they are not gaining weight. But sometimes what they are taking in, the nutritional value is so low.
While poverty remains a factor, experts say malnutrition today is also being fueled by poor eating habits.
We have changed our dietary behavior. We have thrown away the healthy dietary habits that our forefathers used to have, and now we have adopted their eating style. We are now eating anything. Our foods are greasy, our foods are sugary, our foods are salty. That is what the taste buds that we have now developed. So, and that is what has brought us the third one, which is the non-communicable diseases.
To change the narrative, the Women Media and Change WOMEC and CAPA organizes special training, bringing together journalists from across the country to deepen their knowledge on nutrition-related issues.
Children have died because of malnutrition.
Many people have died. Women have died through childbirth, anemia issues and all that. But all these deaths could have been prevented if we had been talking about nutrition. The cheapest way we can even tackle the nutrition, apart from the funding we are looking for, is begin to educate the public.
For the Ghana Health Service, there is more to be done to meet their target.
We want malnutrition to be reduced to the barest minimum, if not zero. And so we are working hard, and we are confident that with time, the alarming rates we are seeing would be reduced. Ghana is doing a very good job. Just that for the targets that we have set for ourselves, we still have more to do to attain those targets.
For mothers like Salamatu and Beatrice, the battle isn't over. It is clear malnutrition doesn't always wear the face of famine sometimes. It hides in homes and in the cracks of daily life. It's quite obvious the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 must be taken more seriously if ending poverty in all its forms is the sure way to meeting Goal 1. Safwa Boyne, TV3 News, Accra.
Now, private legal practitioner Martin Pebu says it is good that the Office of the Special Prosecutor has declared former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta wanted again. Speaking on the key points, lawyer Pebu said that he expected the OSP to have explored video conferencing facility to interrogate Ken Ofori-Atta.
Oh, you can see that quite clearly his defense team was in shambles. They didn't do a good job at all, right? So this very key to this discussion, the analysis, is the fact that, you see, when Ofori-Atta was given the extension to 2nd June, that was in February, right? That was reached sometime in February.
Yes.
So he had a lot of time. March, he had the whole of April, right? Part of March, a larger part of March, and the whole of April to, come back to the OSP if he saw that he was going to need a further extension. Look at the thing. This is the thing. Yeah. At the time they gave him extension to 2nd June to meet OSP, he was billed to undergo the surgery on 20th and 21st March. Yeah. Very key. Let's look at that. So he was billed to go under the knife on 20th and 21st March. Those were the 2 days for the surgery. Now, before that date, even if we are using 21st March as a date, it became clear to him that the surgery will no longer come on. The key thing is that why didn't Ofori-Atta reach out to the special prosecutor? Why didn't he reach out to the special prosecutor at least from 21st March? That, Mr. Jabi, we agreed I would see you on the 2nd of June, right? Because I was going to do surgery on 20th and 21st March. But now, today is 21st March. The surgery has not taken place. There are going to be other moves here and there. So what can we do in terms of maybe rescheduling? Can we move forward my meeting with you? Anything. Anything. Once the surgery didn't come on, it's such a material fact, very, very weighty, that his defense needed to reach out to the OSP and discuss the way forward. Because let's remember, meeting adjourned to 2nd June because we are going to do surgery 20th, 21st March. 20th, 21st March, you don't do a surgery. You don't reach out to OSP. So if you check 21st June to 21st April, 1 month, 21st May, 2 months, then his lawyers write on the 28th of May. Yeah. I mean, come on. That's where he lost it. That's where he lost it. It's as if he and his lawyers, they don't even appreciate the quagmire in which Ofori-Atta finds himself.
On the same program, the Director of Strategy and Communication at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, Sami Dako, has said that his outfit wants the embattled former Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to appear before them in person because it is a requirement of law. He explained that it is a globally accepted principle of law that an accused must be tried present.
By activating the Interpol Red Alert notice,
it automatically now means that we are giving an arrest warrant to the jurisdictions that they may find him. So when the U.S. finds him, he will be placed under arrest. As we speak now, Mr. Ofori-Atta has not been placed under arrest. There's this school of thought, and I'm happy people are talking about that school of thought that we can try people in absentia, blah, blah, and all that. It's a very difficult area that we've been exploring. It's not clear cut that you can place before court when they've not been taken through the arrest procedures. What the Ghanaian jurisprudence so far has shown us, and if there's any lawyer who has a case law on that, let that lawyer put it out there, has been that a person is first taken through the arrest procedure, investigations completed, placed before court, and if the person elects not to come. That's why I asked the question. If that was the case, why is it that people are not able to freely say that I will not appear before you, police, I will not appear before you, IOCO, I will not appear before you, NID. If you have sufficient evidence, why don't you proceed to court and file it? The point I was responding to was that Mr. Ofori-Atta had written to his lawyers to tell us that we should take his caution statement through the internet. And I was just responding to say that it's not tenable because you don't take a caution statement when a person has not been arrested. And as Martin people have said, Interpol red notice becomes an arrest warrant. Let Mr. Ofori-Atta be placed under arrest and let's see what processes will come out of it.
Ofori-Atta's name appearing on the red Interpol notice has got a lot of people reacting to it. Let us know what you think of this on our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and on X. That's at TV3 Ghana. We'll take our second break here. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Another season of Ghana Strongest.
Welcome back. You're still watching Weekend Century. Start from here in a bit to provide access, promote good driving standards and ensure the use of roadworthy vehicles, which will ultimately safeguard lives and reduce road accidents. The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, has opened its Savannah Regional Office in Bole. Now, the Bole office is expected to improve accessibility and efficiency in the delivery of DVLA services.
Since 2015, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, has been operating in a satellite office in Bole. However, drivers and motor riders had to endure long journeys to Tamale or Wa to access a wide range of services such as vehicle ownership transfer, registration and renewal of driver's licenses, roadworthiness renewals, license conversion, international driving permits, license replacements, and the issuance of license cards.
So others have to even go to Tamale to be able to get their license, to renew them, and also to get the stickers that you put on top of the vehicle.
But speaking at a short ceremony to inaugurate the Bole office, which will also serve as the Savannah Regional Office of DVLA, Chief Executive Officer of DVLA, Julius Nikwe Kote, cautioned the public against patronizing unapproved agents and warned against engaging in fraudulent registration activities, which have been a challenge in the past.
A price list out, and when they come, they shouldn't pay even 1 cedi extra than what is on the price list. We are going strictly by what is on the price list, and I expect them to go on the price list. If you have not renewed your car license, if you have not renewed your driving license, if you have not renewed everything that is supposed to be done, if you need a driving license, don't go to anyone. Come straight to the Bole office, and the right price and the right services will be provided to you.
Member of Parliament for Bole Bamboe constituency and Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Yusuf Suleimana, commended DVLA for aligning with government's vision of decentralization to reduce the time citizens spend to access essential services during productive hours.
You can imagine the hassle that they go through. Today, we can say that at least we have seen them print a copy of the license. What it means is that going forward, from today onwards, the good people of Bole and other people from the Savannah region can come here and have their licenses without any difficulty. What is it that I'm not proud of? I'm very, very proud to the extent that we now have SR, Savannah region, attached to our license numbers. That for me, in itself, is an identity, and we are proud of that.
The Bole DVLA office is the second to be commissioned under the authority's ongoing expansion agenda, following the opening of a similar facility in Adenta.
Supplying the Dormaa-Nkrankwanta roads are calling on the government to urgently fix the deteriorating stretch, which serves as a key international route connecting Ghana to Côte d'Ivoire. The poor state of the road is not only causing hardship for commuters, but also affecting emergency response efforts, according to health officials in the Dormaa West District.
The 25-kilometer Dormaa-Nkrankwanta road, a vital link between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, has become a nightmare for drivers and passengers. Potholes, erosion, and uneven surfaces have turned daily commutes into grueling journeys, with many fearing accidents and vehicle breakdowns.
Sincerely speaking, as a driver, we are experiencing a lot of breakages on the way from Dormaa-Nkrankwanta due to the stature of the network and how rough it is. It's actually about 25 kilometers journey, but since the road is in a tattered form, it takes about 1 hour and sometimes even 1 hour 20 minutes for someone to get there. But previously, when the road was in a good shape, we were using about 25 to 30 minutes to embark on that journey.
When it rains, you can spend close to 2 hours from here to Dormaa. Better commercial vehicles are not plying the road because of its state. The situation is even more serious when there is an emergency referral. We are therefore appealing to government to come to our aid. The road's worsening state has also drawn criticism from local businesses which rely on the route for trade between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. The situation is even more critical for emergency services. Management at the Dormaa West District Hospital says the poor road network delays ambulances, putting lives at risk. Medical Superintendent of the Dormaa West District Hospital, Dr. Osmani Abubakar, intimates that without immediate intervention, preventable tragedies will continue.
Indeed, the road network from Dormaa to Nkrankwanta is not motorable, and therefore in times of referrals there is a lot of hindrances. Cases that should have reached Dormaa in less than 30 minutes spends close to 1.5 hours, and this mostly affects the outcome of care negatively at the receiving facility.
Member of Parliament for Dormaa West constituency, Vincent Opong Asamoah, is optimistic that the road will be fixed within the 4-year term of President John Mohammed's administration, as it is being tipped as a priority project.
So it's a big worry. You know, it's the breast market of most of the plantain we eat in Accra, other foodstuffs are from my constituency. You know, once you apply on that, we meet a lot of trailers, those evacuating cashew, cocoa, timber, and what have you. It looks as if we have not had a fair share of the national cake when it comes to the road sector. So under our administration, I believe that in the next 4 years, with me in Parliament, I have the President who's so serious about pushing Ghana from this level to the next level with a big push, and looking at what we are all looking for. There's no doubt that it will be our priority project for the next 4 years.
And more news that 2025 Hajj pilgrimage currently underway in Saudi Arabia is almost over, with over 5,000 Ghanaian Muslims taking part in the pilgrimage. In all, more than 2 million Muslims worldwide are performing the annual rituals this year. Well, TV3's Faisal Abdul Idrisu, who is taking part in the pilgrimage, has been interacting with Ghanaian community there.
To perform Hajj is a very exciting experience for me than reading from the books and history. They are two different things. Asking God for forgiveness and for his blessings. And I prayed for our country, Ghana. I prayed for our nation. I prayed for our president. I prayed for everybody in Ghana. And I asked that we continue to live in peace and in harmony. Because the most important thing for a nation is to live in peace. So now I'm Hajj, Dr. Excellency Hassan Erega. Thank you. That's a new title now. I'm happy to be a Muslim. I'm happy to be a practicing Muslim. There's a difference between being a Muslim.
Alhamdulillah, it's the best experience because sometimes you learn everything in Arabic school, and here you see everything live. And coming here and seeing a lot of people from different countries, where the Prophet Mosque was, the Haram, the Kaaba, you saw it live. I think it's a very good experience. Regarding the organization, I think there was just a little hiccups, but after all, it's good. We thank our leaders, especially the president and the organization of Hajj Board. All what they did, I think they did a marvelous job. Especially yesterday, there was a lot of emergencies and they were overwhelmed. Some of us even have to help them out, and they were able to manage the situation. So I think they did a great job, and we thank them, and I think there's more room for improvement.
Well, happy Eid to all Muslims out there. Did you watch Aisha Yakubu last night on 360?
Oh, unfortunately I couldn't.
So good.
She was looking good, eh?
Yes, but I hope you're also anticipating for the premiere of Trapped in War, which will be premiering on Wednesday, next week Wednesday at 9 p.m. Do make some time to tune in We went all the way to Ukraine and other places to bring that story.
I remember you going. You've done a good job. I can't wait to see you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
My name is Judith Brown. Bye-bye.
I'm Godwin Asidiba.